Okay, guys, we should be live here. I'm actually on my timeline right now on my Facebook profile. Usually, as you know, I go live in my group, which is the Forex Smart Money Trading Academy. So yesterday I was live in the group. I went over all the trade alerts that came out last week. There was about 8 of them, and all 8 alerts were actually winning trades. One of the 8 could have been a losing trade based on how you actually took the trade. But for me, all 8 of the trades would have been winning trades. So, I mean, that's 100% win rate. So all 8 of the trades would have been winning trades. And I went over that, and that video is actually on my timeline down below here and also in the group. So if you don't belong to the group, make sure that you do contact me so I can send you a link to join. Because at some point I will no longer be going live on my timeline here. I'll only be going live in the group. So I want to make sure that if you're interested in getting this training, that you actually get it. So today we're going to do the weekly chart outlook and the weekly trend outlook and chart markup session for the week. So as you know, I go in the trading view here for this. I use TradingView and I also use my MT4. So the first step is to look at the higher time frame trend, right? So I want the 4-hour and the daily trend to be going in the same direction. If they're not, I just don't trade the pair. So the first step is look at the higher time frame trend. If they're both in line with each other, then I look for an area on the 4-hour chart, an area of interest, right? Which is usually the 4-hour banker candle area. And that is an area that we're looking for price to move into and react, right? So we mark that up. We set a trade alert here on TradingView. And once those areas are hit, the alert goes off. I get an email that tells me to drop down to my MT4, mark up the chart on MT4 on the 4-hour, then drop down to the 1-hour to wait for confirmation. So if you're confused by this, just go watch that live video that I did yesterday. And I'll kind of show you what those alerts look like and what the confirmation is. If you don't know what a banker candle is, you don't know anything that I'm talking about, then you want to get the free week of training that our community offers. The experts in our community go on live every Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. They've been doing it for 6 years now. So you want to get on the live session for 1 week, try us out, see if you like what we're doing. If you do, then you can become a customer of the community. If not, you can just go your separate ways and trade on your own, or find a different strategy to learn. But you definitely, if you haven't done it already, make sure you ask me for the links so you can join the group and register for the free week of training this week, starting tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't make the live sessions, which people that work during the day can't, then I can give you access to the website and the password to get to the recordings each day. And you'll have until the following Sunday night to go in there and watch any of the recordings that you missed or all of the recordings at one time. Anyway, let's look at the 4-hour chart here. And so when I look at the trend, I like to do that on MT4 because you're just able to zoom out a lot easier on MT4, right? You can zoom in and out easier on MT4 and you get a better idea of what the trend looks like. Obviously, let's go to the 4-hour here. The 4-hour trend is down. The daily trend is down as well. So we know that we're just looking for sales here on AUD CAD. There was actually an alert that came out this week if you watch that video, and that's a trade that we made money on. It we would have made money on as well. So right here, if we look at TradingView, we see that we have a banker candle, and this really doesn't break structure here, right? So we don't have break of structure because to get break of structure, we look for the body of the candle to close below this wick area here. So I'm not really going to call this break of structure. So I'm still going to go back here to this banker candle right here. So I'm going to mark this one up right here. And I'm going to set an alert right there. Right. And that's where we're going to we're going to wait for price to maybe come back, flag up to this area again. And then if it does, we'll get the alert. We'll drop down We'll go to our MT4. We'll mark it up on MT4. We'll drop down to the 1 hour and wait for the ATH confirmation to come out before we decide to take the trade or not, right? So we have that marked up. So let's go to the next pair, AUD CHF. We look at this, the daily is obviously in a downtrend. The 4 hour is in a downtrend as well, right? Did try to make a move up here, broke some structure, but we don't have a 2x2 going on the way up. So there's no, maybe a little change of character, but then it just dropped right back down. So we're obviously looking for sales on this pair as well. So again, if we look at this here, our last banker candle, this really isn't a banker candle area yet because we haven't gotten a break of structure here. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our alert on this down here, okay? Because what we're looking for is before we can identify a new banker candle for this pair or a new 4 hour area to take a trade in, we're going to need a break of structure here. So if this comes down, break structure, we'll get an alert. And then when I come back and look at this pair here, I'll know that it's time to go ahead and mark up one of these banker candles here that have already formed. Right now, it would be this one. If this would come down tonight and break this structure right here, then I would mark up this area here as our 4 hour banker candle area. And I would move the alert up to there at that point. And then we would wait for another alert to go off. But right now, we're going to put the alert down here because we need a break of structure. Okay, and what I'm going to do is so that I remember that when this alert goes off, it's not an alert to take a trade, but it is alert to check for break of structure. So I'm going to put that right there, and that'll tell me that that's what I need to do. Now I need to set a banker candle. Okay, let's go to AUD-JPY. We look at AUD-JPY here on, again, if we can zoom out here a little bit easier. This right here is in a downtrend. So we're looking at this area right here to here. This is in a downtrend on the 4 hour. The daily, however, is not in a downtrend, as you can see. So if we look here, we do have a break of structure on the daily chart. So we have a daily break of structure, but now what we need is a pullback, and then we need this to make another break of structure of this area here. That would be what we call a 2x2, and that would indicate a change of trend for us on the daily chart. But right now, the daily chart to me is still bearish, okay? And since the 4 hour is in a downtrend, I'm not gonna mark up this chart. I'm not gonna trade this pair this week unless something changes, right? I'll go back, I'll go through the charts again on Wednesday. And if something changes, then I'll adjust my strategy. But right now, I'm not going to trade this pair. So we do have an alert set right here from last week, which I am going to remove. Okay. We'll go to AUD-NZD. And let's see what we're looking at here. On the daily chart, this is in an uptrend, right? And on the 4 hour chart, we are also in a downtrend. So again, this is a pair that I don't want to trade this week. Okay, I don't have an alert set here. I do have a 4 hour candle here marked, but there's no alert on there. AUD-USD. We look at this, we see the daily's in a downtrend. The 4 hour is also in a downtrend as well, right? So we know that it's safe to take a sell on this pair. So if we look at AUD-USD here, we have a similar situation where we really need a break of structure here. So what we're going to do is, we do have this 4 hour area marked up here, right? Which it could slide back up to. But I'm going to also set an alert down here. I'm going to set an alert down here. And I'm going to mark this alert down here as break of structure so that I know that basically what I'm doing here is I'm just telling myself that Yeah, if it comes back up here and hits this 4-hour area, then I'd want to look at taking a sell. But also if it comes down here and breaks structure, then I can mark up, I can move this alert to this banker candle right here. But I can't do that yet because in order for this banker candle to really be valid, I need a break of structure. And I don't have that, okay? And to me, a break of structure occurs when the body of the candle exceeds the wicks, okay? Some people may go body, body, right? So they may look for the body of the candle to close down below these two bodies here. I like to use the wicks and the body for the break of structure. So I'm going to look for the body of this candle to close down below this area here. If it does, then I can move this alert from that banker candle area to this banker candle area. But until it does that, I don't want to move that alert, okay? I don't want to mark this as a banker candle because since this didn't make a new low, chances are if it comes up to here, it'll make a newer high, right? And then it'll eventually get up to here. But if it does come down here and break structure, then I can look for it to come back. So I hope that shows you what I'm looking for with these banker candles. Okay, let's move to the next pair, which is CAD Chef. Okay, let's go to CAD Chef here. Sorry, I'm confusing myself. Let's see here, 4-hour chart. So here, what are we looking at here? This 4-hour chart to me is in a downtrend. It did come up, right? It tried to break the 4-hour structure. It really didn't. It may have, but you don't have a 2x2, okay? And if you look at the daily, okay, so the 4 hours in a downtrend. The daily, if you look at it, wasn't an uptrend. But let's look at this more closely now here. So right here, we have this daily break of structure. We have a pullback, a new low, a pullback, a new low. So this is definitely a 2x2, actually maybe a 3x3. And so this tells us that the trend on the daily chart is now bearish. So I'm going to say this is bearish because we do have break of structure in a 2x2. Okay. So the daily's bearish, and I'm saying that the 4-hour is still bearish as well, because although we did attempt to get a break of structure here on the way up, we really didn't get it. Okay. So I'm going to still look for sales in CAD Chef. And if I'm looking at CAD Chef here again, it's really hard again to find a good area of interest here. Okay, I do have this candle marked up right now, but really I want to see a break of structure down here before I can mark up this candle. There's a couple other banker candle areas here too that price may go to if it does move up. So since this hasn't made a new low, it could make a new high, come to this area, or even come to this area up here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this banker candle, I'm going to put it down here. I'm going to look for this to break structure on the way down, and then I can identify a new banker candle at that point. Okay, so this is another one where we're looking for a break of structure before we can actually identify our banker candle in our 4-hour area of interest, where we're expecting price to come back to and react. Right? Once it does that, again, we pull up MT4, we mark up our 4-hour chart there with the 4-hour area, and then we drop down to the 1-hour, look for the ATH confirmation. We're not doing that today, though. We do that every day. The trade alerts go off live in the group Forex Smart Money Trading Academy. So this is what we're doing here with CAD Chef. Let's go to CADJPY real fast here. And what do we see? Daily is in an uptrend. Again, it's much easier to scroll in and out on MT4. That's why I like to analyze the trend here. So our daily's in an uptrend. Our 4-hour, however, is a little wacky, right? It's a little wonky. I like to use the term wonky. One of our expert traders in the group, Dave Thomas, taught me that word, wonky. So price action right here is a little bit wonky. Okay, if you look at this overall, so we said the daily's in an uptrend, right? we look at this 4 hour and we look at the price trend overall here, it's clearly in an uptrend, right? But the question is, did we have a break of structure on the way down and a 2x2 form on this 4 hour chart? And so in order to find that, we see here that when it comes down here, this is a break of this 4 hour structure right here. Okay. But we don't really get the 2x2. It doesn't break structure again. Again, my definition of break of structure is when the body of the candle exceeds the wick. Some people just go by the body to body. If that's the case here, you do have a 2x2. I like to use the wick. And you see here, it doesn't break the wick here. It doesn't, the body of the candle doesn't close below that wick right there. And then it moves back up. Okay. And then what do you get? You get a move back up, which looks like a 2x2 back up, but it really isn't because you don't have break of structure first. You have break of internal structure, but we'd be looking for this structure up here to be broken before we would identify a 2x2. And then, so since this wasn't an uptrend, clearly, and we don't have a break of structure in 2x2 on the way down, it's still in an uptrend. So it's safe to take this trade as a buy in CADJPY. So if we come over here, right, we have a break of internal structure here. So we can identify this banker candle right here as the area of interest where we would want to take a buy. Right there. So we're going to set our alert right there. And if that alert goes off, we'll get an email and then we'll know to go into our MT4, mark up the chart on the 4 hour, and then mark up our complete 4 hour area where our entry area is and our stop loss would be, and then drop down to the 1 hour and wait for ATH confirmation. So let's see here. That is the 4 hour. That was the daily on that. Right? So again, if you look at this in trading view and you're on the 4 hour here, you're thinking to yourself, oh, that's in a downtrend, right? When you drop down here to MT4 and you're able to zoom out on it, you can see that it's clearly been in an uptrend. It's been very bullish, and you don't have the break of structure in 2x2 on the way down telling you that the trend is changing to bearish yet. So we would stay with buys on CADJPY. Let's go to CHFJPY here and look at that. Okay, so when we look at the 4 hour chart here, again, price is very wonky here because of this right here. This big candle right here on the 4 hour. Making it very wonky, but overall, this has been in an uptrend. It's been very bullish, right? We do have this break of structure on the way down, but we never get the 2x2. See, this low here, down here is never taken out. So we're still bearish on the 4 hour chart. The daily chart is bearish as well. We had the break of structure on the daily, but no 2x2. This low here is still intact. So we're still bullish on this pair. So if we look at CHFJPY, we do get a new high over this area right here. So what that does is when we get this move up to here, that's going to allow us to, let's see here, we're looking for, we have this area here. That's going to allow us at this point to move this banker candle up to here. So we're going to move the banker candle up to this candle right here. So this is now our 4 hour area of interest. And we're able to do that because we get this break of internal structure right here. So that identifies this now as a valid banker candle to us, okay? We still haven't taken out this high over here, right? But it does pull back to here, come down. It doesn't make a lower low, and now it comes up and it makes a higher high. So that tells us that it's safe to identify this 4 hour area here as our area of interest where we'll look for price to come back down and then react back up. Again, we're going to look for confirmation. After it hits that area, we're not just going to take the trade there. So we're going to have some more confirmations in play that will maybe tell us not to take the trade if that happens. But for right now, that's our area of interest, and we're going to set the alert right there. Let's go to EUR/AUD. And we don't go over all 28 pairs here, guys, on this live session. I go over about 10 or 12 of them. And then what I'll do is I have to remember next week to just start at the bottom of the list here and work my way up. It would just be too long of a session to go over all 28 of them. If I go over, 10 or 12 of them, you'll get an idea of what I'm looking at when I do this weekly trend outlook and chart markup session, and what I'm doing so that during the week when the trade alerts do come out and we go into MT4 and actually look for the confirmations to take the trades, see what would have happened if we would have had a winning trade or a losing trade, you'll understand how we selected these 4-hour area of interest for our alerts. So let's look at EUR/AUD. So if we look at the daily chart, if we scroll out here, it did tend to be in a pretty bearish, right, on the daily chart. Now, if we come back here, what we see is we see a pullback here to a new low. So we have a 4-hour, we have a daily break of structure right here. We have a pullback and then it pushes to a new high. So that tells us that the trend is now, we're going to say that this is bullish. Okay. We're going to say that the daily is now bullish. The bias is bullish. Okay. So, if you look at the long term here, you'd have to say, well, that's bearish. But we're going to say right now that the bias for this on the daily chart is bullish. If we look at the H4, it's obviously very bullish, right? So we're going to go for buys on this pair. So if we go back and we look here, this pushes to a new high, right? Last week we had this banker candle area marked up, but now since we get the new high, right, we get to close above this wick, we're now able to move this up to here, okay? So this is just order flow. You can see this just moving right up on the 4-hour chart, right? So we now identify this area as our area of interest. If it comes down here, the alert will go off, we'll drop down, we'll go to our MT4, mark up the 4-hour chart there, drop down a little 1 hour, wait for the ATH. Okay, let's look at EUR/CAD, EuroCAD. EuroCAD, again, when we're on the 4-hour, okay, this was very bearish, right? We had this 4-hour break of structure and then a 2x2, another break of structure giving us a 2x2. So the bias on this is bullish at this point. Okay, the bias is bullish on the 4-hour chart. On the daily, however, we're not bullish. We're still bearish. Okay. If we scroll out, scroll back in here, we get this break of structure right in here. Let's look at this for a second here. I may be wrong. So let's see. We push down here, we pull back, we make a new low, we pull back, we make a new low. So this is going to be our daily structure, and it gets broken right here. And then we get a pullback and a push to a new high. So that's a valid 2x2. So the bias now on this daily chart, even though long term appears to be very bearish, the bias right now is bullish. Okay. So the 4-hour is bullish. The daily is now bullish. So it's safe for us to look for a buy on this chart. So when we look at this area here, what do we see? We see a move up, right? It breaks this structure right here, move down, we get another break of structure. So we can now move this alert up to this 4-hour banker candle right here, right? And this is now our area of interest. So we're going to look for this to pull back, hit this area, and then go back up further. Okay, let's pull up EuroChef, EURCHF. We look here at EuroChef. We look at the 4-hour chart, right? This was very bearish, right? We got this break of structure on the way up. Let's see what we're looking at here. Pull back right here. So here's our structure right here. So we got this break of structure on the way up. It pulls back. but it hasn't broken the second time. So we don't have a 2x2 here. So what that tells us is we have to stay bearish on this, on the 4 hour. The daily is also bearish. So this tells us that we're still looking to take sales on this pair. Okay. So if we look here, we see that we're already in our 4 hour area of interest here. If we're looking at this banker candle right here, we're kind of already in our 4 hour area of interest. Okay. So let me just mark this up here. This is where that's our 4 hour area of interest. So let's just drop down here to MT4 real fast. So here's what we're looking at. We're looking at this banker candle right here. This is the last up candle before the bigger down move here. Okay. And so we already had this marked up from last week, it looks like. And this would be where our stop loss area would be. So this would be our 4 hour area right here. We're going to remove that and we're going to put that right here. So we're already in our area of interest. Okay. So when the market goes live today, I will put the ATH indicator on this to see if we get a confirmation to take this as a sell. So that's what I'll be looking at today, EURCHF as a sell. Okay. And that's because the overall trend here on the 4 hour chart is down. We get a break of structure on the way up, but we get no second break of structure. So we have no 2x2. Okay. So what we have to keep in mind is, and of course the daily is down as well, right? We got the first break of structure, but no second break of structure on the daily as well. So it's about, the bias is about to change to bullish on both the 4 hour and the daily chart if this moves up much higher, okay? But if it also moves up higher, it will go through our 4 hour area of interest here. And if it does that, then that 4 hour area is no longer valid, so we wouldn't look to take a trade here. However, if we do get an ATH confirmation, then that means it may push lower first, all right, and go down lower, or at some point reverse before it goes up higher. So we have to wait for price to basically show us its hand. We have to wait for price to show us what it wants to do. And that's obviously based on what the banks and the large institutions have planned, right? Because what do they do? What do they do every day? They mitigate banker candles, right? They take liquidity, they mitigate banker candles, and they fill in balance, right? And you learn about all that on our training. So if you don't know what I'm talking about by taking liquidity, mitigating a banker candle, or filling in balance, then you need to get in touch with me right away and get access to our free week of training starting tomorrow, Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And again, if you can't make the live sessions, you'll get access to recorded sessions so that you can watch them all. So yes, make sure you request that free week of training if you don't know what I mean by taking liquidity, bankers candles, mitigating banker candles, and filling in balance. Okay, so let's do a couple more pairs here and then we'll finish up for today. That was 10. We'll do 2 more. And then, like I said, next week we'll start from the bottom. So let's do EURGBP. Let's look here on our MT4, a little bit wonky price action, right? Pushed up really high there. Was clearly in an uptrend, but then we got this 4 hour break of structure here and a second break of structure giving us a 2x2 on the way down. So what happens here is the trend bias here on the 4 hour is bearish. Okay. And that same exact thing happened here on the daily. You see this pull back to a push higher. It comes down here, closes below this area. So that's the break of structure, pulls back, and then it closes below this area. So we have a 2x2 on the way down telling us that the bias is now bearish and we could be catching it right near the top. Okay. Now we could just get completely fooled and it can just decide to go up and keep going up from this point. But we're kind of looking at the bias as being bearish now. So that tells us we can mark up a 4-hour area. And since we got a push down here to a new low, right? This is the new 4-hour area. So we can move this right to that banker candle right there, right? And we can set an alert. What was that? Let's set an alert right there. Okay, so if this pushes up a little bit higher, that alert will go off. Now, what we have to watch for is we also have a banker candle up here, right? So they could push right through this area and go to this. This is called an extreme banker candle because it's at the start of this move down. This is a decisional area, meaning it could blow right through it and go to this area, okay? That's why we wait for confirmation. We wait for ATH to go off. If the ATH doesn't go off, it blows right through this area, then we know to now mark up this area of interest as long as the trend, as long as the bias on the trend stays the same. Okay, let's finish up here with EURJPY. It's about 12 noon here Eastern time. So on the daily chart, we're in an uptrend, right? We can see that. On the 4-hour, you know, I would have to say the trend is up as well on the 4-hour. If I look at it more closely here, we get a push down here to a new low. We break this 4-hour structure here. We would have to say this is bearish, bullish. So I'm bullish on the 4-hour, I'm bullish on the daily. So if I drop down here on EURJPY, this push to a new high here. This is a little wonky. It's not really a pullback. I'm going to leave my area of alert down here. I'm going to leave the 4-hour banker candle down here. This, to me, isn't a pullback. You do get the wick pulling back, but in looking at the bodies, it just looks like a continuation on the way up, right? So this whole thing looks like a move up, right? Which breaks this structure over here, which identifies this as a banker candle, okay? Now, if we can get a pullback here and this moves higher, then we can find another banker candle area here to identify. So we could put another alert up here, right? And we can mark this as our break of structure alert, right? So when the alert goes off to our email, we have to come check trading view first. That's what we always do first. And we have to make sure that it's a banker candle alert and not a break of structure alert. So if it comes down here, the alert goes off. That's the banker candle alert. We know to go in MT4, mark up the 4-hour, go to the 1-hour, wait for the ATH confirmation. If it comes up here, we get an alert. Now that's a break of structure alert. We know to go ahead and move the banker candle now from here to here and wait for that alert to go off and remove the break of structure alert, right? But for right now, we're going to leave it down here. Okay, so that's how we mark up the charts, right? This is our weekly trend outlook and chart markup session for the week, okay? Weekly trend outlook and chart markup session. So I do this every week on Saturday or Sunday, okay? Sometimes I might do it on Friday evening. But either Friday night after the market closes, Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to do this session. I'm going to do it live. Right now, I'm doing it on my timeline, and I'm also putting the video in the group, okay? But eventually, I'll just be doing it in the group, okay? And that's the Forex Smart Money Trading Academy, okay? Right, here's the last live I did yesterday where I went over all the trade alerts that went off last week and what would have happened. All 8 alerts would have been winning trades for me. There was one of the 8 that could have been a losing trade based on if you use the exit manager to get out of half of the position or not, right? If you didn't do that, then that one trade, I think it was AUDJPY, maybe, I can't remember exactly, would have been a losing trade. Could have been a losing trade. I think it was AUDJPY. You see the alerts right here. But all the other ones were winning trades. And to me, they were all winning trades. Okay. So this is what happens when we look for that. We look at the 4-hour trend, the higher time frame trend. We want to trade with the higher time frame trend, right? And if the 4-hour and the daily are both going the same way, we look at the 4-hour, we find a 4-hour area of interest, which is usually the banker candle, right? 4-hour area of interest. That's an area where we look for price to come back and react, right? We're looking for price to come back to that area and react, okay? Once it comes back to that area, a trade alert goes off. We drop down, we go into our MT4, we mark up the 4-hour chart, right? With the exact 4-hour area on MT4. We drop down to the 1-hour, wait for the ATH to go off before it blows through the area. Blows through the area, then the trade's no longer valid. We may mark up another 4-hour area, or the trend bias may have now changed in either the 4-hour or the daily. So we might just discard that pair altogether for the week. Okay. Now, again, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about all this stuff, watch the videos in the group. If you don't belong to the group, send me a message so that I can send you the link to join. There are a couple questions you have to answer. Okay. They're not very hard. Just a couple questions you have to answer. If you don't answer them, you won't get approved to join the group. So make sure you answer the questions, right? Because if you don't answer them, I'm going to decline you. Okay. So you won't get into the group. So if you're in the group already, you need to get your free week of training, or if you're not in the group, you need a free week of training. You don't want to know what I'm talking about when I talk about banker candles, area of interest, imbalance, liquidity, then you need your free week of training. Get back to me so I can send you the information to join our group and the link to register for our free training this week, starting tomorrow, Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. The experts in the group go live in the group, right? They go live in the group every day, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't get on the live sessions, you let me know, right? If you work during the day, you just can't get on, you let me know. I'll send you the website and the password to access the recorded sessions. And you'll have access to them for 1 week until the following Sunday. And then that password will expire. So you have to make sure that you go in and watch any sessions you missed or any sessions that you want to watch again by that following Sunday evening, because at that point, that password will expire. Now, if you just couldn't, if you registered for the free week, you just couldn't get on, you couldn't watch any of the recordings, you need another free week, I can give you access to one more free week, but you only get a maximum of 2, okay? And that's it. You're just getting access so you can try us out, see what we do. And if you like what we're doing, become a pay member of the community, right? If you don't like what we're doing, you just move on and find something else that suits you, that suits your trading style. Okay. But I'm going to come on every weekend live to go through this weekly trend outlook and chart markup. And then during the week, when the trade alerts go off, I come on live in the group, Forex Smart Money Trading Academy, and I go over what I'm doing and where I'm marking up the charts in MT4, drop down to 1 hour, and I wait for the ATH confirmation before I take the trade. And then I show you the results of that trade once the results are available, right? Usually at the end of the week, like I did here. Yesterday, I came on live and I did all the trade alerts for last week. So again, guys, this is Bill Soriano from Pittsburgh, and have a great weekend. Watch some football today. If you don't like football, watch something else. Until next time, take care, guys.